Hi, and welcome back to my channel. This video is all about on how to boost your critical damage stat and from where can you acquire and obtain bonus critical damage stat. Now, before we proceed, let me show you guys about the existing critical damage diminishing return table. And this table is not official and certainly not from the ROMC official data source. This data exists long ago from romc and been used as reference for critical type builds to avoid excessive critical stat. Now, this video is not about critical damage diminishing return, and I will make a video about the diminishing returns soon or maybe far later, since it's too early to talk about diminishing returns, as non-whale and F2P players are pretty far from achieving the mid-tier range of critical damage stat, and are currently still struggling to bring their critical damage stat to the highest attainable amount for a non-whale and F2P GX. Now, this information is just to familiarize the new players about the existing diminishing returns of critical damage stat. Now we come to the critical damage sources, and to identify the sources of where we can acquire critical damage stat, I will use my character's critical damage stats breakdown. And without further ado, let's begin. In here, this is my total critical damage stat without equipping any gears, and I will show first the sources, starting from the sources that are currently on my critical damage stats. Now, critical damage stat can be acquired from these sources. Source number 1, from Assassin Cross skill, Assassination Heart passive skill, which it can provide us a maximum of plus 60% bonus critical damage stat when brought to maximum level 20. Source number 2, from Valkyrie Blessing, the Blessing of Goddess system. You can acquire and obtain a maximum of plus 25% additional critical damage stat when you bring it to the maximum of level 20. Source number 3, bonus critical damage stat from Handbook system. You can acquire additional critical damage stat by unlocking through card, first loot, first craft, first draw, and depositing bonus effect of a certain cards. Source number 4, critical damage stat from Aesir monument system. You can acquire and obtain a total of plus 23% additional critical damage stat if you manage to activate all critical damage attribute nodes. Source number 5, 6, and source number 7. You can acquire and obtain critical damage stats from equipped gears that provides a critical damage stats from gear enchantments and from memory word system. Agent Qatar Star. Agent Qatar Star weapon provides a plus 30% crit damage stat, and for every refine it provides a critical damage plus 1% and a total of plus 10% since it's at refine plus 10. And when it is also refined to plus 10, it also provide a plus 10% critical damage. So in total, my plus 10 Agent Qatar provides a total of plus 50% critical damage stat, and a plus 2% critical damage stat from memory word system. 52% plus 122% equal to 174% total critical damage on my overall stat panel. Ninja Suit Moonlight Star Armor. Ninja Suit Moonlight Star Armor provides a total of plus 15% of critical damage stat, and a plus 2% critical damage stat from memory word system, and in total it adds a plus 17% critical damage stat from armor slot. Then, 174% plus 17% equals 191% total critical damage on my overall stat. Adventurer Master Cloak Garment Gear, a plus 12 Master Cloak Rift Gear, provides a total of plus 18% of critical damage stat. Now, 191% plus 18% equals a 209% critical damage stat on my overall stat. Adventurer Master Boots, a plus 12 Rift Foot Gear with crit damage stat, also provides a total of plus 7% of critical damage stat. Then, 209% plus 7% equals 216% critical damage stat on my overall critical damage stat. A Fire Ninja Shinobi Belt accessory gear, when equipped with a Ninja Suit Moonlight Armor, also provides a plus 10% critical damage stat as a set effect bonus. And it doesn't matter if it is not refined, since by just pairing it with Ninja Suit Moonlight Armor, it will unlock and provide a plus 10% critical damage stat automatically, and a plus 4% critical damage stat from Memory Word stat, from both Accessory 1 and 2. Then, 216% plus 14% equals 230% critical damage on my overall stat. In here, a plus 3.6% critical damage stat from my Headwear Gear enchantment attribute, a plus 10% critical damage stat from my Facewear Gear enchantment attribute, a total of plus 13.6% critical damage stat from my Head and Facewear Gear enchantments, and 230% plus 13.6% equals 243.6% total critical damage stat on my overall stat. Source number 8. Bonus critical damage stat from equipped cards. I only possess a garment card that provides a critical damage stat, but there are still other great cards that are usable for GX class. Now, a Hyogun Star card provides a critical damage stat, according on your overall critical rating stats, as it converts the critical rating stats into a 0.1% critical damage stat per 1 point of critical rating. In here, I had a total of 275 critical rating. Now, 275 times 0.1 is equal to a 27.5% of critical damage stat. Then, 243.6% plus 27.5% equal to 271.1% overall critical damage stat on my stat panel. Now, the Hyogun Star's bonus critical damage stat amplifies as your critical rating increases, like when you use your Assassination Halo buff, which will also provide an additional plus 20 critical rating. As what we can see here, upon using Assassination Halo buff, it provided my stats a plus 40 critical rating instead of a plus 20 critical rating. The provided plus 20 critical rating stat was doubled by the Qatar weapon effect. While equipping a Qatar weapon, any critical rating source will be doubled. Now, 40 times 0.1 equals 4%, and 271.1% plus 4% equals 275.1% of total critical damage for my overall stat. And, lastly, the triggerable bonus critical damage effects. The Fairy and Bottle accessory Berserker's Rage triggerable effect, and from the Weapon Agent Qatar Star's triggerable enhanced crit damage. The Berserker Rage effect provides a plus 100% critical damage stat, which will last for 3 seconds and had a 5% chance to trigger it, and the enhanced critical damage from the Agent Qatar weapon will also provide a plus 10% critical damage stat, and will last for 5 seconds when triggered. And this effect triggers while performing an auto attack. Then, 275.1% plus 110% triggerable critical damage stat. I had a total of 385.1% of critical damage stat if the Berserker Rage effect and enhanced critical damage effect triggers at the same time. And you can still further enhance your overall critical damage stat by pumping up your critical rating, like you can still consume a Luck B meal, which provides you a plus 10 luck stat and a plus 20 critical rating. And that's all of it for this video. And thank you for watching.